Mineral Resources Minister Susan Shabangu has pulled the carpet from under the mine nationalisation protagonists with the accusation that South Africa is barking up the wrong tree with its nationalisation debate. She quotes author Drucker in saying that South Africa is asking the wrong dangerous question. What needs to be asked is how South Africa will eliminate the evil triplets of poverty, inequality and unemployment. Shabangu makes it clear that mine nationalisation is certainly not the way to do that.
There is a hive of activities with regard to the issue of nationalisation of our mines. This has included even those who do not understand what it means and what its implications are. The truly dangerous thing is asking the wrong question. Imagine analysing the South African evil triplets of poverty, inequality and unemployment, and coming to the conclusion that the reason why this persists is because the mining industry are not nationalised. If there is one thing we who are members of the oldest liberation movement on the continent can pride ourselves on is that we dropped some of these ideological extremes long before it became fashionable to do so. It is my considered opinion that we should first ask the correct questions in order to find the correct answers. The correct question should not be whether or not we nationalise. The question, in my view, should be, how do we make use of our vast mineral wealth to eliminate the evil triplets to which we have referred to? No one has asked these questions. How do we as a country contribute to the twin objectives of industrializations and the creation of more jobs? How best do we enhance beneficiation as a government policy? How do we fast track and ensure that beneficiation becomes a success in South Africa?
You talk about a middle ground, that the private sector and the public sector needs to find a middle ground in this debate. We need to have a more responsible discussion around the principles of nationalisation. We need to understand the consequences of nationalisation, and that is part of the ANC working group at the moment. But you were talking about the private sector needs to change the tone of its response. What is this middle ground, this area where you would like people to meet, and what would be the consequences then of that middle ground?
Well, I think both the private sector and everybody else, we need to say what works for South Africa. What is it that we need to put in place in making sure that we create a peaceful and stable environment around mining communities? If we're able to do that, I believe that we will be able to live in harmony in our country. To my colleagues from the private sector, we'll continue working together. They know we'll disagree, but at the end we will reach consensus.
What is enough? You've got mining companies that pay royalties, you've got mining companies that employ people in communities, you've got mining companies that pay taxes. What is enough?
The land where mining is happening used to belong to some of those communities. So what is enough? It's to make sure that they contribute towards the well-being of those communities. They have to make sure that they offer, especially for the young people, change their lives by offering bursaries, offer them learnerships, offer them scholarships. They benefit through the GDP, they benefit through the royalties which are paid to the fiscus, because then it addresses the other communities which are not closer to the mining jurisdiction areas. We've got to examine the call itself, how legitimate and genuine it's the call.
How legitimate and genuine is the call for nationalisation? Yes. So you're questioning the motives behind the call then for nationalisation clarity.
Exactly. But I must also indicate I'm very happy and I'm comforted by the latest call which was raised, saying that if we don't support or we don't believe in nationalisation, what are the alternatives? And I think it's taking us in the right direction.
How do you reconcile your call for private sector to partner to create employment with the tolerance of union demands for higher wages for the already employed? Which countries do you look towards as good examples of nationalisation of key industries like mining? I mean, can you, as the Minister of Mineral Resources, name one that has been particularly successful, that there is a blueprint somewhere that South Africa could follow?
I can't remember of any.
Okay.
If the private sector was the mining of any country which currently has nationalised successfully, A task team has been set up. Today there's going to be an interaction by the task team with various stakeholders, players in the mining industry, which will culminate to policy conference next year in July.
Okay, so we run the risk then of sitting in this position in South Africa where it's neither fish nor fowl. We don't know what the position is going to be, with continued uncertainty around investment, continued underinvestment in the mining sector. Isn't that the risk, though, that we've got 12 months of this continued uncertainty, followed by a national discussion of another 12 months, followed by more uncertainty?
Well, I must indicate, as government, with our current policies, which are sufficient, for us, we are alive and mindful that indeed it does cause a harm to our economy. It does cause a harm in terms of attracting new investments, but also it has an impact on government policies of creating jobs and expanding our country needs. But what we cannot afford to continue doing is to put the matter under the carpet. Unfortunately, the agency has timelines. When it goes towards the conference, the National Congress. The first one is to have a policy conference. And I must say, I am confident that our policy conference will be able to engage in a way that will not collapse South Africa's economy or contribute in a negative way. But for now, we will continue appealing to investors to say South Africa continues to be an investor destination in the mining industry. South Africa is regulated in a way that allows investment to settle in South Africa.
Martin Creamer from Mining Weekly Online says, Minister, you avoided saying how South Africa can defeat the evil triplets, became close to saying beneficiation could help. Am I correct in the beneficiation proposal that you're putting forward as part of the solution?
We have adopted a strategy of beneficiation, and the issue of energy is of concern to us. We had a cabinet Lokutla last week which took a decision to look at the issues of energy, but also how is it going to impact on precisely the beneficiation strategy in rolling out new industries in South Africa. So government is very mindful that energy is a challenge. We're looking into that. A task team has been created which will address the particular aspect of energy in our country. Not only at the level of shortage, but also the cost of energy.
That was Mineral Resources Minister Susan Shabangu in conversation with radio personality Bruce Whitfield in a debate in Johannesburg that gave the firm thumbs down to mine nationalisation. The debate was organised by South Africa's new daily newspaper, The New Age.